The gal's name is Lacretta.
Lacretta? Yeah. I could swear it looked like her in that commercial. As far as,
Well, do you want to wait for the books or?
He'll probably be along soon, so we'll probably start this week.
Mine's pretty straightforward.
I guess we can go ahead so we don't get behind on everything.
Okay.
Do you want to look at a copy at this at all, or?
Why don't you just go through it with
Okay.
us? Just kinda
Well, so the
talk about
only,
any increases or
Yeah.
eliminations or-
so my office is pretty easy as far as budget wise. Most things stay the same. The only thing that's really unpredictable for me is trial expense. So for example, this past year, the current fiscal year, right? That was September. We had a week-long jury trial where we had to bring doctors in from just the Britt Hospital. So that was a large expense. I have no way of ever knowing if that will happen, in the next fiscal year or not, because it depends what the trial is.
Yeah.
I also had to travel to Oklahoma to do depositions of a child sex abuse victim. That was the first time we've had to do that. So again, those are the kind of unpredictable expenses. Otherwise, it's literally just our salaries, our basic supplies, court publication fees. We have to publish notice in the newspaper, have a lot of documents served. Obviously, Winnebago County does not charge us to serve local people, but if we get a ton of Minnesota people, we have to serve like termination of parental rights or child in need of assistance cases. So it's mostly the juvenile side as opposed to criminal for that stuff. Minnesota charges us, of course, depends on the county. And most other Iowa counties charge us some sort of fee. So those are our basic expenses with, of course, benefits and whatnot for employees. I did propose an 8.7% raise for my 2 employees this year, which is, as you guys know, the cost of living raise. And that's also what I factored in for mine because you approved that yesterday, I believe. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same.
Victim coordinator position, is that
Yes.
funded?
Thank you for bringing that up. So we are funded currently through September of 2023 of this year. I have applied for the next grant cycle, which is their 3-year grant cycles. I've applied, but I have not heard back. So I am hopeful. I haven't heard that, programs that already have the grant are going to be cut or anything like that. So
What's the source of revenue from that program? Is from?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
What's the source of revenue that you get that from?
It is through the VOCA, federal VOCA grant. And they actually use my salary to match it. So the 10% match or whatever that's required is satisfied by my salary because I oversee, of course, the victim witness coordinator. So typically, I believe we don't pay a dime basically at the end of the fiscal year. If you look at it, we don't end up paying anything. We pay it, of course, and then get reimbursed. And that includes, I budget in like her training and supplies and things like that too. So it's a really nice program.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully I'll hear soon. I think we had to have those grant applications. It's just been in the last few weeks that we had to have those turned in. So I don't know how long it'll take before we hear whether we're approved or not for the next cycle.
So the cycle is 3 years?
Yeah. So each application is for a 3-year period. Adam started it, I want to say maybe like 2015 or 16. So we've applied several times and we've never
I think it was
been
going
rejected.
when you got into office.
It was because Rachel Olson was the victim witness coordinator at that time, and I think I want to say she'd been here like maybe 2 years. I started in March of 18. So we've applied a few times. We've never been rejected, so I'm hopeful that we wouldn't be rejected again.
So would we just count on that on our income side of it? And if it's different, we have to amend the budget or something.
Right. And I'll let you guys know or let Carla know as soon as I hear back on that, whether we're approved or not. So, that's the only real, let me look through here just to make sure. I did, as you know, I have new administrative assistants, so I've saved a little bit of money there.
Refresh my memory, who was that?
Kenna Espeland, she's
That's right.
from here. Yep, she was a jailer and then she worked at the clerk of court's office. So she had a lot of good experience. Otherwise, I don't see any. I mean, frankly, most of my numbers stay, other than, of course, salaries and health insurance and whatnot, most of my numbers stay basically the same. That one court fund, I mean, I had budgeted 8,000 last year. That's the fund. I have 10,000 down this year. That's really just to be safe because I do have some bigger cases that will be coming up.
You have to go down to Kansas City or something for something.
Say that again.
Didn't you have to go down to Kansas City for something?
Just
something?
Oklahoma.
Or Oklahoma for
Yeah.
a deposition?
Yeah, that was deposition. Yeah.
So
That is
helps
very
out.
rare that it's defendant's call on. We can't subpoena a person to come outside of 50-mile radius, and she is our victim / witness, and she resides in the state of Oklahoma, and so we can't force her to come here, and so we have to go there if defense requests it or requires it.
So one person goes there then, or?
Megan and I both went
Okay.
because Megan's salary was covered with the grant. So Megan and I went, it's actually a case that the AG's office is also assisting with, so they sent one of their attorneys with us as well. So we have other witnesses that reside out of state in that particular case as well, but they've agreed to do those by Zoom, which is nice. It was just the victim, the alleged victim, that they wanted to do in person. So that is a pretty rare occurrence, but
We hope we don't have too many of those
yeah,
for everybody's sake.
yes.
Yeah. Well,
Unfortunately, we've had a lot of them, so,
See it in the news all the time.
yeah,
they're
it's been busy.
kind of like, her office is kind of like,
Okay.
the guys, snowplows in the sheriff's department. You just really don't think they have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's never really the case. We do have lulls, we go through a little bit of lulls sometimes in the winter, for whatever reason, I think people stay inside obviously a little bit more, so we don't have as many cases, but.
So those are department again.
Number 4. Carla, the only thing I didn't see on here is to take money out of my seizure fund. Did I just totally miss that?
You know,
Cause I do that GPS monitor for the sheriff's department. I think it's like $600 a year or something.
new software.
I may have just missed it as well, that's entirely possible.
Not. Is that, no, I can, how
Cause I
much?
had the income section for seized property, but not expense.
62. Seizure funds, did you want just the 600?
Yeah, is that what I did last year? I
Yep.
think that's the annual due. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I can,
that's fine, thank you.
How many hours a week is usually the victim coordinator?
She's anywhere from 20 to 30. So while her kids are in school, like now, she usually comes in 5 days a week, but just works shorter hours. And then summer, she usually doesn't come in then on Wednesday, sometimes Thursday. So of course, that depends also what our schedule's like. If there's court with a victim, she's there. We've got some depositions and things coming up that she'll come in specially for. But it's usually in that 20 to 30 range. Carla, I don't know if you checked my health insurance numbers, but I always struggle with that one for some reason.
I'll take a look at it.
Okay, I think I got it right, but
Will your packages change with the new employee?
no, it's same.
I might have to reprint
May
this
change, will
expenditure.
probably change in the future, for the benefit of the county, depending on some factors, but her, fiance is a Forest City police officer. How much is in that seizure fund?
I don't know
Oh, okay.
off the top of my head. I would.
I don't know if we seized anything last year, because it's so hit or miss whether we have funds to seize or not, so.
You can go over and ask Chris. She
Okay.
can tell you.
If for some reason I don't have that 600, I'll let the sheriff's office know. They would have to take over that if they wanted to keep it going then.
Mhm.
So the health insurance doesn't look accurate. Because it was 67 budgeted last year, and you've got 42.
I had budget, so last year we talked about Megan, the victim witness coordinator, going full-time.
Yeah.
We decided not to do that at this time, and so that was factoring in potential health insurance for her because I wasn't sure if she would
She
take it.
didn't need it.
And
Correct.
the year previous to that was 35, so
Yep.
compared to 42 now, which would about cover the
Right,
increases.
because my new staff is the same coverage as my old staff, so, with the administrative assistant, so that should cover that increase. So her salary section probably also looks a little wonky if I had to guess.
It went down.
Yeah, and that would be because I was factoring in her switching to full-time, and we just
Yeah.
decided to put that off. We may still attempt to do that in the future, but it just wasn't the right time, so. We did get that new software program that I think, I assume Brody had budgeted for. That went into effect November, and it has been awesome, so
Right.
we've been really happy with it.
It's really nice when new software works.
And it's worked pretty slick. I don't want to jinx it, but it's worked pretty slick. It eliminated so much of our very tedious, busy work of inputting all this data on every defendant that comes in, every case we have. It just automatically comes through to our system now in most cases, so it's been really nice.
So when your office, not doing budgets, receives threats, these people attach their names to them?
Some of them. I don't normally get written threats, it's normally verbal,
Yeah,
either to my
that-
face or to an officer's face about me.
That can be charges in itself.
Yeah, they have been before.
I would assume that they get in trouble for things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a terroristic threat.
Yeah, and harassment, threatened to commit a forcible felony. Mhm. Yep, we've had that.
Yeah, it's not the smartest thing.
No.
But then,
Yeah.
I guess the clientele speaks for itself usually.
We also, of course, listen, jail calls and things are monitored as well, so
Oh, I suppose.
that can be a source as well.
Do they know they're monitored?
Yes,
I would assume it says right on the phone that
it does. It's in their agreement before
They
they.
still do it?
Mhm. Unless they're talking with their attorney, of course, that's not recorded. But
Oh, yeah.
So on here, I was looking at your, what area was the court stuff in that you said was going from 8 to 10? Was it
that is,
at the bottom, the fees?
is that
legal,
fees,
and court
legal and
related?
court related, yep.
Okay, all right.
And I actually haven't, so I have the bill from that trial that we had is like 5,000 something. I have not paid that yet, that will come out. So our current year-to-date activity looks low, but that's actually a lot higher than it looks there. I think that was about 5,000 and I negotiated pretty hard to get it down to that, so. We do, well, that would be in the current fiscal year, because we do have a trial set for February that will require some experts and witnesses to travel. And then some years we have no expenses there, so.
always nice when it goes down a little bit.
Yeah. So. Yeah, ours is pretty simple compared to, I know, a lot of the other departments, so.
That's why you're first on the list.
Yeah, get the easy ones out of the way.
You can break us in easy.
Yeah, that's true. Easy into it.
So nobody really has any training in your office? There's expenses for training?
So, obviously I do, my administrative assistant wouldn't have any, that's all like internal training and through our case management system. And then Megan, the victim witness coordinator, hers is covered through that grant.
By the grant?
So I budget that into her grant. She has like there's an annual victim witness coordinator training in Des Moines every year. And then there's usually one or two other trainings that she can attend or will attend.
Mhm.
She also attends a lot of like the free ones, like ILEA, the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy will put some on that are like trauma-informed approach or whatever. A lot of times they don't have any fees for that or they're really minimal and then it's just mileage, you know, to drive there or whatever, so.
Your hand motion says there's stress relief on there, but I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Don't rub your eye when you've got that on there. Your left eye is not watering. It stresses me out. Oh, golly.
Yeah, the trainings for me are pretty minimal too. I mean, I usually try to do, there are 2 county attorney conferences a year, one in June and one in, I think, November. And I always have to hit one of those. I have to have so many continuing legal
That's what I was
education
kind of
hours.
wondering about continuing.
Yeah, but I can do a lot of, so I always go to one or the other of those. I usually just pick one.
Mhm.
And then I do a lot of online webinars and stuff too. And we have a local judge that will do like a juvenile update for us every year, which is free, which is nice. He gives us some hours. I always roll over, I have the max amount of hours that I need always, so I like to do trainings.
I'm gonna go over and print the revenue and grab some stuff up here.
No, I didn't have any more questions.
Now it's pretty straightforward here.
Alrighty, sounds good. I'll just keep you guys posted on whenever I hear back on that grant. I know that makes a difference, at least
Mhm.
on my budget, so,
So
yeah.
if the grant goes away for whatever reason,
Mhm.
the victim coordinator is something you would probably want to keep, I would guess.
I would really push very, very, very hard to keep her, and I could probably bring in 30 people that would say that as well, that she's either worked with or law enforcement can tell you how much work she's done. They call her, I mean, she's technically not on the clock, but they will call her at 9 o'clock at night if they've got like a victim that they're working with that just needs help right away. And she does a lot of referrals. I mean, she doesn't provide the service herself. It's a lot of referring out. And then just hand-holding, basically, for lack of a better term, but to describe the criminal justice process because it's very confusing for people and long. She does great with kids, especially. So that's helped a lot in some of our cases where we have either child victims or they might just be a witness to a crime too. So she does a really nice job. So I would push very, very hard. But yes, I'd be asking to keep her at the part-time status, of course, and if we didn't get approved for that grant.
So nice to have that available on a local
Yes,
level.
and a lot of counties have a victim witness coordinator, but some share, like for Hancock, for example, is their administrative assistant is also the victim witness coordinator. And they do a great job, but it is different when you have somebody that's devoted exclusively to the victim witness coordinator role, and we've had a lot of really, really good feedback from having that service available. And then some counties, like I don't believe Worth County has one. There are several counties that don't, but
It's good to know we're proactive.
yeah. it helps. And it helps me with, I mean, just workload as well, because she can kind of take those calls and calm people down if they're upset and things like that, so it's
Well,
really
this
nice.
makes our county a better place to live.
Yes, yep. We've had a lot of really good feedback, especially from our crisis intervention advocates, about the service here, particularly in Winnebago compared to other counties, so.
That's good.
And they
Well,
work
you can
in-
feel good about that then in your
Yeah,
offices though.
yeah, we work together really well, so that helps too, of course, so. Yeah. Yep, but I'll let you know on that, otherwise I don't expect anything else to change on my end, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys.
Yep.
Have a fun day with budgets.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't haul corn because of this. Told Sam, I said, you gotta schedule your corn hauling.
Around budget.
Well, yeah, you gotta give me a pre-notice, and I could've told you we couldn't have budget meetings this day because I had to haul corn. Not that probably would've worked.
Sam, Carla, Sam, who gets to
Come on in,
Happy
Well,
Debbie.
you know,
today.
yeah, being out there in the cold weather and all that stuff, and like the last time we hauled corn, you had to get up on a ladder and take a broom and get all the snow off of the top of it. That part's no fun, but it's still, you're sitting here looking at all this. Maybe not.
what department are you?
51.
No, his,
That's Area 51, you said?
yeah,
Does it feel like that sometimes?
I feel like we got some unidentified flying objects rolling around once in a
yeah,
while.
the last few years, it's been Area 51,
Yeah, for sure.
with all the stuff going on.
What page is that?
Is there pages missing or something? I only
Yeah.
got one page.
65.
Page 65?
I don't know what this other one is. Capital projects on page 12, or 112, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the back of this.
I don't either, as long as we know where we're at. with
Staples
Kevin
in front of the book.
I know, but I still have a hard time finding them sometimes. All right.
Thank you.
You bet.
Kevin, are all your fees that you collect in the courthouse going up then to cover everything? Door opening fees and things like that?
The what?
The door opening fees and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you the one who gets the revenues off the parking tickets?
Oh, yeah.
No, Carla.
We throw big parties with that money.
Yeah, see, otherwise, we had you guys out there, a couple of Nazis, and get something done.
Same with, the wishing well out here, we might be able to buy an ice cream cone at the end of the year with it.
Always bows the change gets thrown in again.
Well, what do you got then?
Well, I just have this paper that I got from Carla, and then I gave back to Carla, so I don't know if she actually made any revisions or anything, but, I guess I added some in the custodial materials and supplies, because it seems like they're not that we're necessarily stocking that much more, but they're charging a lot more for everything, and, like, so we got batteries for the scrubbers in there, other items like that, so,
I bought 2 of those this morning
yeah.
for my scrubber.
I got 2 on order, and then the warranty is 18 months on them, so they seem to last about
How big a battery are they?
24. They're the
Are they like the big ones?
they're
or-
the
Oh, the small
the small ones, and they're engineered for the.
My old one just has the big green ones.
Gotcha. Yeah, we sourced a couple places and found out that we need the extended run, battery. So I added a little extra in there just to make sure. The safety items. One reason why I want to increase that a little bit is because it would be nice to get a service agreement with Woodman for the HVAC and stuff. And I've got a 2-year agreement with Hawkeye for the fire systems and the quarterly sprinkler tests out at the PSC. And I switched from Johnson Controls to them. So
Where does Woodman come out of them?
it would come out of this.
No, where are they from? Wine or?
Yeah, yep. And there are software for HVAC and all the controllers and stuff. Let's see, the heating and, I just bumped 5%. The electrical, I bumped 5%. On the grounds yard and upkeep line, there's 45 in there. I had 45 in there last year. And 25,000 of that was for all the concrete. And so I've gotten estimates for a cab for a tractor out at the PSC. And he gave me the estimate for that. He asked if we were interested in trading. And I said, I don't know. So he gave me a quote on that. 6-year-old tractor. So all the implements plus the cab, it would be our tractor trade plus 21,000. So either that or you're putting a $8,000 cab on a.
What's the model, the one that you traded?
It'd be the same exact
Like a 745 or
739.
730?
So it's four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer. The cab was a little more than last time, but that was 2018 or 19. And then so 2020 happened, and it seems like everything is just 30%. Boom.
Basically with the trade though, it was 12,000 more and we were getting a brand new tractor.
Because 8,000 of it was the cab.
Yeah.
So
So I think it was
Availability is,
silly not to do it because he was saying if they change something on the tractors, if we get the cab and down the road we want to buy a new tractor,
That
it
cab
might
won't
not
on
fit.
it.
So
I think either way it might not fit. I mean, they keep changing things.
There's always
Well-
something minutely
well, the one thing was you need to put cab brackets on, and then you need to put the heater hoses on. And so, that kind of stays on the tractor, even though we remove the
If you're only
cab
gonna
for the
keep them for
season.
a year or two, it's not really worth all that time.
Plus, it's a 6-year-old tractor. I mean, we fixed a few things on it. We fixed the float lever on it, and I got a bill, just the part alone was $500, basically $487. And, Rick and I, we fixed it. So now how long is that gonna stay? I don't know. We'll find out, but. So
So that was which line?
that was the ground yard upkeep line. So the tractor trade was gonna be 21 / maybe 22. So I just felt like I would leave that there, because that,
Can you explain to me on our sheet which line item that is?
on page 66, on the,
the top grounds and yard upkeep.
yeah, right before the
It's got a
split.
big slot right in the middle.
so last year, where 25,000 of that was concrete, on this year, 21,000 of it would be the John Deere trade. And then the other reasons, I'm not sure where snow removal is gonna come out, because they bumped that up a little bit, And I feel like we'd be in the same boat trying to find somebody new. I went through like 5 people trying to find him, and he's also,
Who does it now?
Taylor Cleveland. So he's doing the ground yard and upkeep too, so with the fertilizer and stuff like that. And so, I mean, this last year, we finally started treating the grass here and out there, and it made a big difference, and it's gonna look fantastic this year, so
Good.
we're definitely trying to make the appearance of the grounds yard upkeep top notch. I mean, that's our goal.
Your curb tracker has a cab on it, right?
What's that?
You don't have a cab on the curb?
We have a cab on this one down here, yeah.
It's the one at the PSC.
Oh, the one out there.
So, yeah, so we're doing a little bit more cleanup.
So it's not gonna swear us out.
Because when you bought this one, you took the one from here out
Yeah.
there.
So we're ended up doing a little bit more cleanup out there, and it's 0 degrees, man, it's freezing.
So
Rick,
when you hire the plowing out there and sanding, is that by the hour then, or?
It is. So, yeah, it's by the hour, and then the sanding is by the application. So, and I'm first year with him, basically doing the, so I suppose next year we'd have more of a beat on what it could be there.
It's a rough year this year.
Yeah. And then the building repairs courthouse, there's I think 350,000 in there. What that is for would be a Woodman HVAC upgrade to the old side of the building here. So in other words, that would be where each register would get a controller unit, and we could manage the building from our software like we do the other side. And I got estimates from him, and I don't know if you guys have this sheet, but I broke it down into like 2 different phases, where a phase 1 would be a part A and a part B. And what that would include would be a system upgrade with the software on a part A. That would be $126,000. I got everything that you would need to consider this. And then the part B would be the system upgrade, the controls. That would be $121,000. So to put controller units and run all the wires so that we can manage the building from the software, this side, all floors, all rooms, would be $276. And then I estimated that there'd be some necessary valves of plumbing that probably Larson's would have to do. Where out here where we would have 2 3-way valves, so we could automate the changeover. And then we would regulate we'd need to get like a specific pump to regulate the PSI during the changeover. So there'd be some hardware and stuff out there that would need to be changed, but, and then there'd be the software. It would give us all new software and stuff like that. And so the total of phase 1, parts A and B would be estimated, I estimated 350, I estimated high because I didn't know where Larson's would come in. And then if we moved to a quote-unquote a phase 2, that would be where we would now have controllers in every unit, every room, and we could set temps. There's unoccupied temps in there for summertime where it's high humidity and stuff. A lot of the ceiling tiles get weeped on because of the pipe sweat. Would be the new boiler and the new roof chiller that we've thought about before, we've considered. So basically we could manage the building from HVAC controls and just, like right now, if I come in, I could log into and I can see what's going on over there, just boom, just immediately, you can see all the
Are
rooms.
those in your office area, or
Yeah.
where is that at?
Well,
The actual,
the software screen is on our computer,
on your,
and then we pull it up, and then we can change room temperature, zones, unoccupied temps. It's a smart, I feel like it's a smart move, moving into the, moving forward into the future. Because if you put new boiler, new chiller in, then you've got the building management all controlled. Say in 10 years, 15 years, some of these registers that have been here forever, that could be a phase 3 project for the next guy where if they need new registers, the controllers would all be there, the wiring would all be there. So basically that project would just entail whoever's, doing my job, their ability to control the heat and cooling in this side of the building like we can over there, ultimately. Otherwise, right now, we have to go around room to room and switch it over.
So when you talk about phase 1 and phase 2, how long?
Well, the reason why I kind of like just thought about it is because the upgrade could be, it could be however long you just, until
How
you
long
need to change the chiller and the boiler. It could be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. But you'd have the control on this side. You'd now be able to manage the building through the management system, HVAC.
And the objective of doing all that is, because it just seems like it would take a really long time in heat savings or cooling savings to recoup. That's a heck of an investment.
Yeah. I mean, of course it is. It costs us, it costs us nothing not to do it. But as far as just being able to spot a problem, sometimes you can on the screen, if a room is, it's building management is what
So
it
are
is.
there fail-safes built into that with alarms and, all
Yeah,
of the
yeah, he
bells and
saw
whistles?
he saw the watchdog out there and he said you could, we put an alarm out there in that boiler room as far as, and then, yeah, it's just building management, basically.
I see you've got an increase in the fixed plant equipment repairs too. Or no, that's the same, I guess, never mind.
Yeah.
What's that one for? You have 68,000.
Yeah, I don't know what we should have in there. I think we had that in there from last year. And so I just kind of put a question mark in it. Do we want to keep that there, or does that roll into this other project, or?
Is there any other planned equipment changes other than that?
Is that more for
HV?
emergency repairs or?
I think
Yeah, that'd be like for the boiler.
I think the next kind of phase in the courthouse fixing up was going around and fixing stuff like that, making the recorder's office is in really bad shape. Fixing that, fixing stuff like that.
Have we ever gotten any bids on any of that kind of stuff?
Not yet. I plan to do
What the issue that caused this should be
fixed.
Oh.
fixed now. So,
Right.
yeah, but
So now it's time to fix the inside and get that taken care of. So, and we need to fix the walls, because the next step is, most rooms don't really need carpet too terribly bad, like, you can see on the floor, like, it's gonna need carpet sooner than later, like with all the wrinkles in the carpet. My office is probably, well, it is the worst.
It's probably needs to be done first.
My office needs carpet terribly bad.
You just gotta quit pacing so much.
I did get estimates from Christensen on basically every room in this building for carpet moving forward, because the size of the rooms don't change. It would just be, we could, because we know what size each room is, we could decide to do this room, that room, that room, that room. Even next year, if he changed his price, then we would know. So I got this sheet from him. So each room's auditors was 132 yards, recorders is 80, 50. So we could itemize and pick and choose what rooms really needed to do it and what we don't. And the us a good estimate.
So it's all that in that 68,000 then?
Well,
I think that's where we're taking the courtroom out of, so I would assume that that's where we're gonna take the
And the
repairs out.
courtroom was just 30 something, wasn't it? What was the
That
number
was
on
the
it?
hard numbers you had, but then you had electrical and things
right,
besides
right.
that.
I do have them if you need to.
I was just trying to remember what it was.
This is basically 1,600 for paint and, which I
It
don't
was
know.
reasonable, whatever it was, I
Yeah.
remember that.
I think it's right here. So, I mean, his estimate, a year ago, minus materials, or minus any electrical, which would be Arvin, HVCR painting, was 29,280 for the big courtroom. And then for the small courtroom, it was, minus electrical, HVAC and painting, it was, if we do a drop ceiling, would be 11,350. If we omit the drop ceiling, it was a little bit less, which would be about $6,700, I think. And then Arvin would have to, be added on that. And he was in today, and he's working on getting us some
What was the date of start on that again?
Monday,
Monday.
January 23rd to February 24th.
It's exciting.
So, and
So going into next year, I'm just trying to figure out, do we need all of the 68,000 or, we're talking, how much is a carpet gonna run?
I didn't figure out every single
I
room
don't
to
think
get
every
in.
single room needs carpet.
Right.
But just for a number, or just for an example, I did every single room on this first floor, including hers, this one, even though it didn't need it, just for a number, and it was like 15,900. So if you replaced every room on this first floor,
That was materials and labor?
yeah. And then he's got a fee on there for moving stuff. Cause that would be the hard part of the, she's got heavy cabinets, and so he would charge $40 an hour, but I told him Rick and I would be available to help move stuff. If he added a couple extra hours here and there for moving stuff, it's not gonna, it's knowable.
It's well
Yeah.
worth it.
It's knowable, it's a knowable charge, and so, but, yeah, it was 15,900 for, if you chose to do every piece of carpet here, his room, auditor, recorder, our office.
So besides that, we're talking about the repairs of the walls and,
Yeah, the repairs of the walls would be a different, so to keep the 68,000, I mean, you guys do it as you see fit, but that might cover some of it.
is most of the walls like this and only bigger?
Yeah, in their quarters, it's pretty nasty. I don't,
So does there have to be lead paint?
We haven't found any lead paint. We've done tests and we haven't found asbestos, we haven't found,
we had an asbestos test and it came back basically, I suppose negative, I don't know how they
Okay,
zero over.
that's surprising, actually.
We took some core samples for the courthouse renovation up there to make sure that we weren't stirring up a bunch of asbestos, and
And there wasn't any. Wow.
there wasn't any.
Is there any, okay, so that room, this room, is there some in your room on the walls or,
minimal in my office.
okay, how about the treasurer's office, new,
Treasurer's office new.
The hallways or anything, is there? It's all just outside walls, right?
Yeah.
well, I can't see these.
And these walls also
taking
would
that
be more
much.
apt to the condensation from the below zero
Yeah.
northwest wind
Yeah.
on the side of
It's,
the building.
it shouldn't be that much, and we have kind of been taking down the plaster and putting up sheetrock where there's been cracks in the plaster, but like here, it's not terrible. I mean, there's,
Right.
maybe some cracks there, but
I know, and
it's not bad.
and in some spots where it might be, the plaster might be attached to the brick, they might fur it out 3/4, and then you can run your wiring and stuff, and then sheet rock. You know, and then you can put your switch plates back there. You can
So
get all
how
the
do you do
conduit.
that with the big trim then?
You have to remove it,
And then it goes back
Yep.
on?
or at least like the top section of it, and then slide it down. I mean, it might be one whole piece, but it might be one piece and then two pieces. I don't know.
There's nothing that annoys me worse than painted trim like that. I wish if we're gonna take it off, I
Strip it,
stripped and,
restore it?
yeah. I don't know who decided to paint trim, but, oh gosh, that just makes me crazy.
And
Yeah, it's, that decision was made at my house once when I was gone in my truck. Beautiful woodwork in my house, ended up with paint on it and a couple of rooms.
So I don't know if we can go with 30,000 on that line item, get by,
Rather than 68?
yeah. It still leaves some cushion in there, I think.
I'm gonna have to admit, that 350,000, that seems like an awful lot of money for a little convenience of being able to control from the roof.
Yep.
Well, that whole thing wasn't just a controller, it was an actual,
It would be hardware installed,
Yeah.
like valves installed in every location you see. We could then, this hallway is
Yeah.
fluctuating in different seasons, we could set it up so it doesn't do that. It doesn't,
Yeah, but that still seems like a lot of money for,
because, okay, so help me out then, what,
for
does
these-
that include the actual boiler and the coolers and,
No,
no?
No, that's just,
And where's that number?
that number,
that's a future number.
that's a future number.
Got it, okay.
And we did get a quote from Larson's a couple years ago. Here's the Woodman stuff. So
here, I have a, give me.
the Woodman building automation was for 121. New network of new controls to existing systems. The fan coil units, the central plant, the controller, accessories and sensors. Then the other part was the these things here, the controllers, the ERV controllers, and the software upgrade of 18,600.
So the 121 is not in that 350?
It is.
It is, yeah.
So you've got 80,600, 126, and 121, and you put a little cushion on that.
I put cushion on that because of some, interfacing, like plumbing changes and those 2 3-way valves out there. I know that Larson's would have to do some work out there to change it over. So I got all the sheets here, you need to look at them. I can do some digging in there. And get some more clarification from him.
Okay, so your 276 is an overestimation, Cause you get 126, 121, and then it says equals 276.
On the 18,600 for the software.
Plus that,
Yeah,
okay. Because 18, you added 18 and 107 and got 126.
and then I add, oh yeah, okay, I did the, yeah,
So I only see 247.
right.
So I didn't know if you cushioned it or something to. Or were you figuring some of that, of the Larson stuff in there? So 29,000 difference.
Yeah. So I got, well, it's 265, right? Those three numbers, 126 basically, plus 121, 247.
Yeah.
Plus. Yeah, plus, I wasn't sure on the seven, you know, the Larson number. So I think that's why I originally thought it was 320.
Because that was an old bid, or the Larson?
Well, it's actually just an estimate. Just,
Another part of it.
yeah, it's something I know we're gonna need to account for. I don't know the number. Because they would have to come and do a project assessment and give us a number on it. And I just thought, well, would 53 be enough? So or 43 be enough, so I made it, instead of 320, I made it 350, just to cover it. But we have, you know, the Woodman numbers would be probably pretty close, fairly accurate.
So can the control system be added later, after the system is
Right,
finally
I mean,
replaced?
we don't have to do it, it's just, I think it's to manage the building better
Yeah.
seasonally, I think it's a smart thing to do, moving into the 21st century.
Well, being in the 21st century is nice, it's just really, really expensive.
Yeah,
And we're getting by the way it is. I mean, granted, it's a little more inconvenient for you guys, I assume, but it just, I mean, it's just like all these new computer systems and all that stuff. We spend more on software now. I wonder how many hundreds of thousands of dollars we already spend on software around for, you know, just the computer issues. I mean, well, his whole salary is for computers. I mean, it just keeps adding up.
no, I mean, I mean, we can certainly keep doing it the way we're doing it.
You know, I don't suppose it could be done little pieces at a time where you can spread it out. It's just that we've spent so much money on this courthouse in the last few years. You know, it just, at some point, you just wanna almost take a rest from it.
Yes. So is there any value in doing just part A without doing part B?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of asking too.
So here's the two. Should have made more copies, but.
She just made copies.
I gave
for
them
us.
those.
Okay.
Yep, we all have them
Oh,
now.
okay. Perfect.
Yep. So we're like, I think we're all going, yeah, we can see where we definitely need a new.
One is
system.
basically the you know, the network of new controllers to existing system, fan coil units, central, the two pipe changeover system, the heating and water cooling, so that we can automate the changeover from heating to cooling at those times. Room sensors, then there'd be graphics on the screen and controller. The control accessory sensor, there'd be a butterfly with three-way modulating, and it says right there installed by others. Damper actuators,
What are we using the 87.5 for this year? Under that same line item.
I don't know, I guess you could apply it to that, I suppose.
I can run a report.
Because we're only showing, $1,648 so far in that, and that was what, a repair and something.
Well, Carl, was there a set aside that for a new boiler and stuff that we kinda,
I don't remember. Let me look and see what we. Let's see what we've taken out of there.
I couldn't remember if I left a book in there or not from last year. I had notes.
I could actually get with, the guy that gave me these quotes. And like Susan suggested, maybe he could do one year.
I'm just wondering if it got started this year with 80,000 or something.
Yeah.
To start the
What's that
modeling
report
and
that
then
you run
take
called?
80 off
The
next
detail,
year.
is it detail versus budget versus detail? Can you just run me
I think
Kevin's
another-
budget? 51, thank you,
So they bring it down to a 270.
With detail.
Right.
thanks.
I think another reason that could help would be like the next guy that does my job. It might help him manage the building a little better and the changeovers. And
Either that or he just has to learn everything that's existing now.
Sure, yeah.
It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, if the whole thing was ready to fail and just give up, then I can almost understand it, but, to me, it just seems like a heck of an investment. It would, the little bit of savings you would have in, heating and cooling over the years, it would take a long time to recoup the expense of the investment unless you absolutely had to do it for some reason.
yeah, you're adding it in, so there's nothing there to fail because it doesn't exist. So yeah, it's something you're adding in to control the system from more of a building management. You get set points and set temps.
And I know,
You can look at the screen and see if the boiler's even running,
and I know it's a pain for Kevin, but he does a really good job. It's not something that I would say, you know what, we need this because Kevin sucks at his job.
No,
Kevin does-
I've said it earlier, we're getting by just fine the way we were.
Yeah, Kevin's doing a really great job. So it's one of those things like we don't truly need this because everything's working okay.
It would make his job easier.
It sure would. But for
but
$350,000, it's hard to go,
Yeah, it's, especially after as much as we've spent in the last 4 years,
And
Yeah.
so like you gotta compare it. Like when he wants a cab on his tractor to keep him warm, yep, I'm all about that. But
I'm
You know,
I'm
like-
not gonna disagree with that one a bit.
you know, so you, thank you.
And just, I mean, just for the record, I'm not complaining.
No, I know.
It's just
I
like,
know.
if that room is cold up there, I don't know it, and
Well,
what happens if, you know, I obviously I go up there, I will find it, but it's just, it's, one thing that kind of made me thinking about this, besides, you know, was last, summer, we had a couple days over the weekend that were 90 degrees. And if I can remember the scenario right, in the assessor, they got the pipes running this way. Well, if we have building management, like the other side, there's an unoccupied setting, which raises the dew point. We're here, whatever's rolling through the pipes, if I don't come in and go, oh yeah, that's right, it's gonna get 90 degrees in here, and walk to all the rooms and set all the thermostats higher, so that the cold water isn't required to cool the room down, they all sweat, and you can see where all the pipes are, they all drip on the ceiling tiles, where building management on that side, you know, fishing or doing whatever, come in Monday morning, there's nothing to complain about, there's nothing. You know, when the unoccupied setting comes at 6 o'clock at night, the temps can go down or up, depending on what season you're in. That was just one example, like, I would have had to come in, and I didn't think about it, and I would have if I'd have thought about it. I would have come in and went down, in this whole site, all 3 floors, I would have set all the thermostats to 76. So that as the outside temps rose, you know, they were set at 72, so every time I got 72, boom, they're kicking on, trying to keep that room.
You're talking those, like, 2 warm days we had, like
Yeah.
in the spring,
Yeah.
which
No,
that
they were-
doesn't happen that often.
No,
and Now
they
that
don't.
you know that it can happen, and we all see
Right.
weather forecasts, it's something you can anticipate.
Yeah,
You know, you could even set the temp up
yeah,
before you left on Friday,
right,
you know, and for 350,000, that seems pretty cheap. Yeah, all this stuff is neat. I mean,
well-
I understand the thought, but it's just really.
yeah. No, I'm not trying to sell to you, but another thing was in the spring, fall. This would be the automatic changeover for heat and cooling. There'd be
Yeah.
2 3-way valves. And instead of throwing levers and turning this on and this off, and it could be programmed in, so the delay times could be there,
Just
the
like
pressure
a Programmable
increase.
thermostat on your house.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this
the
would-
really nice thing about it is that this side of the building, you can only have heat or you can only have air. Whereas the other side of the building, it
And
has
when you
heat and
have
air.
Those extreme temperature changes, it's gonna take some
Yeah.
planning.
So that is the nice thing.
I know what's nice about it. It's just, it's got a really nice price tag on it.
It
And that
does,
doesn't
It
even
does.
include the boilers, which at some point we're gonna have to
Yeah.
replace.
Yeah.
And,
What's the cost of those gonna be, do you think?
Well, I had a sheet here, if I can find it.
this
It was,
last year,
yeah, it was estimates from,
I wanna say it was the better part of $200,000, if not more.
yeah.
Yeah, coolers and boilers, when we were talking ARPA and stuff.
Yeah, that stuff, yeah.
I did it the other day, I don't know if I can find it.
I feel like that was 300,000 too.
Now, I was being generous when I was saying 200 or something.
Get
My
that number.
first thought was 3.
Here's the Larson's estimate from June of 2001. So, 2 years ago, right? Point me there, you know, next year.
2020, what do you mean?
Yeah, 2000, yeah, I said, yeah, I meant 21. So for the west boiler was 77,000.
Is that installed or just the boiler?
Well, I know that they changed the estimate now, but it
Yeah,
says
no,
material, labor, budget estimate, material and labor.
So that's all of it.
That's all of it. That includes 2 thermal solutions, the high efficiency boilers, so there's one here, side by side. Two boiler pumps, 2 controls, yada, yada, yada. I can get you this if you need it. That was 77,715. The 26-ton chiller, rooftop chiller out there, was 66,800. And then the east, so the new addition building, the boiler that's been down there for 21 years, that replacement would be 66,575.
So we're starting to push
So,
300,000.
yeah. So,
Nice thing about those, you can probably pick and choose each year which one
yeah.
would be most.
The other thing, another thing that I thought of in building management is this chiller, the new side, the chiller and the boiler, they don't have to be winterized because the chiller brings the coolant into the building and then it chills the water inside. Out here on the rooftop, the chiller has to be winterized with antifreeze because the water goes up there, gets chilled, and then it comes back down. So moving forward, why couldn't we look at a scenario where this same thing happens out here, where the chiller maybe does sit on top, but the coolant comes down into that room? It's one less human error. You know, it's just we're trying to lessen the human error, and so anyway,
They've got this
conversation.
water in the boilers. I guess one question is, I know like our church has floor heat, and that's got oil running through it, not, if I remember right, it's oil filled in, so you don't have the freezing problems.
Right.
But antifreeze does the same thing.
But, you know, or why isn't there antifreeze in it all year round to make it to where it isn't?
Right.
Unless you have to add to it occasionally, or
We're running water through the two-pipe system, and they're running water over there too. There's additive to the water, which keeps the solids from clinging onto the internal flues and all that. And even, you know, there's water running through those registers.
Yeah, the same thing for vehicle
Yeah.
radiators and stuff like
So
that.
it's water, heat, and cooling. And I mean, I can talk to Larson's about why don't we have a certain amount of antifreeze in the water? I think it foams up in the registers is why they don't do that. So you're diverted in the winter, you're diverted to the boiler, so there's no water up there to freeze. So the loop is in the building, going through the boiler. In the springtime, when we need to cool there and go to the chiller, we got to change all that over and open the other valves. And then we got to flush the antifreeze out. And then we hook those pipes up. And then the water will, now the boiler's isolated, it's out of the loop. Now the two pipes, the return and the send, goes through the chiller up on the roof. And it comes into the building. So that's basically.
They make, I mean, if there was a foaming problem, then they make statements that are anti-foam, that are for all kinds of different applications.
Yeah.
I mean, even herbicide, I mean, polyglyphosate stuff would foam up in your trailer so bad it'd start to, so every time we load, we dumped a jug of anti-foam in the top to keep it from foaming up. Well, they had trouble going across on the tankers with the waves. They were coming over when they were making the glyphosate in China, and then all of a sudden it started coming out of the big, they were killing algae from here to China. But then they make anti-foam for that. So,
Right.
I mean, I would assume.
Well,
that-
in the winter, we don't, all the pipes are inside the building, so we don't need any type of
Well,
antifreeze.
but
And
now when the boiler quit here a while back, and then we had to me, if we had antifreeze in the whole system anyway, then you wouldn't have to worry about the weekend dying of the boiler that everybody got here. And, you know, the fact that everything could have froze, had it been another day, everything could have frozen here, and we'd have been spending all this money then. And could have froze all the pipes. And, so it almost seems like it would almost be, you wonder why there isn't antifreeze in the whole system.
I mean, I can look into that. I mean, I honestly don't have the answer for you.
I mean, yeah, obviously we've been getting by without it the way you're doing it, but I remember they had to put heaters out there when that boiler quit to make sure things didn't freeze out there, I remember that. So. But anyway,
So did you get a cost report then on
Yes,
his?
yep. So the 7.6 number has been used for things like Woodman Controls, Single Set Hardware, Larson Plumbing and Heating, and Baumgars. And the fixed plant and equipment has been used for Larson Plumbing and Heating, Train, C.H. McGinnis, Singlestead, Larson Plumbing and Heating.
What's McGinnis?
C.H. McGinnis is the boiler tech, the boiler manufacturer, so anything C.H. McGinnis is like fixing the boiler, or fixing or replacing it. Larson's would be anything on the plumbing side of it.
Okay, so this, you're using the other 76, the second one is fixed plant equipment repairs of 68,000. You're using that for the courtroom repairs? Or not? Where's that coming out of, Carla?
44,276.
That's what I wrote it down, but I don't know if that's where it was coming out of.
We haven't taken anything out of there yet.
But it will probably get used up for that, right? So that still leaves, 80,000 or so in that other one. If we were gonna do something like that, so like to start this year, buying some of the equipment with this year's budget, unless you can roll it through, roll it forward, you can't, yeah. Capital outlay. Just to dump, 350 in next year's is gonna be a challenge. And then we said, keeping 68,000 in next year's. We didn't think we were gonna need that much, maybe only 30,000 in there or something for carpet and repairs on the walls and.
Well, I think that would be under the building repairs also. I
Where's
don't
that?
think that's under fixed plant and equipment,
Okay, where's,
the 44176.
Yeah, so 44176 would be
oh,
repairs in the building, and fixed plant is like, the boiler stuff.
so actually, repairs upstairs are probably gonna be out of that one then.
Yes.
Okay, so that still leaves 68,000 this year, or not 68,000, but maybe 60,000 this year. I don't know what, you have more coming out of it.
I think we weren't sure how much the building repairs were gonna cost. I think that's why we had 87,000 in there.
Right.
And I'm not sure how much the electrical is gonna cost. I still don't know.
on electricity courthouse, it goes from 28 to 31 to, for 23, 24, it goes down to 4,725. How's that dropping that much? Be 43,176.
That might be a typo.
Well, I want to know where you're getting your electricity if it's going down, because mine never did.
Yeah, that Did I do a typo there? What do you have for electricity in the courthouse?
On the sheet I got with 43,176 is 11,795.
Well, even that's not right.
That's not right either.
Yeah, I'm
We show a budget of 31,000 right now.
Yeah. And
I could go get
we're-
the year-to-date
Let me
thing.
see your,
I could go get the
let me see
actual,
your sheet.
I don't know how
And
accurate
total,
the sheet was.
total activity till now is 15,600, so.
Yeah,
Oh, you put 32,550.
I just added 5% because I didn't.
Well, that looks like the PSC one, and also the electricity LEC. But what's the difference between LEC and PSC?
I got off a line.
Oh,
That's what I was just gonna say,
Move
this looks
down.
like it's,
all right, yeah.
So we're eliminating LEC?
Yes,
Okay.
because there is no LAC.
Yeah,
That
that was the whole
32,550 should be at the courthouse?
Yes, I got off a line.
So 4725 is the nurses?
Yes,
And that one moves down to the nurses.
Yep.
Yeah, because that is blank, that would make sense.
yeah, I got off.
Are we gonna have to put more electricity into the nurses if we add on?
Oh, that's a great thought.
Yes.
There would be some increase, I mean,
And we'll probably have more gas there if we're gonna go with a furnace of some sort.
yeah,
Yeah, but let's
which,
see.
that may not hurt. What is the possible construction?
He says
for
we
that?
won't get done construction till spring of '24, which will only be 2 months,
2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months, so.
So we should have it in this budget then.
Yeah, but it won't increase too terribly much.
Add $1,000 in electricity then?
So do 5,725?
Yeah, but then is there natural gas? So that 43,079, that's, what's that for? Up above. There's 600 in there that's never been used.
Maintenance?
Electricity North Clark,
Oh, the nurses pay for that?
storage.
that's the building uptown.
Yep.
So we'll probably use most of that for the next year. So I guess farther up there, the 43,079. Do you see that line?
Yep.
We added 600 in there that wasn't there before.
There's a gas water heater down there
Down where?
in the maintenance shed.
Oh, down there.
Yeah, 43,079. I suppose we got a bill and then we had 0 on the line. So we added, I think probably Kevin added that.
Okay.
Is the maintenance said something that just got heated?
Pardon me.
How come there hasn't been anything in there in the past?
I think it just got added.
So do we need to add a, well, or do I
Is that
think we
included in
really
something
need natural
else?
gas down to the nurses thing for this budget year anymore, because it's not gonna need much gas after spring.
So just leave it at the
The natural
1,300?
gas part of it,
Okay.
that'd be 43,077.
Mhm.
Well, natural gas did go up too, or isn't it?
Yeah.
I figured 5% on the other numbers.
Because our activity's not that much yet.
Right, correct.
Maybe we're still okay if we're going, but, last year, our activity was 1311. And prices went up. Is it just not the winter not reflecting yet, or,
Leave it at 31.
I'm talking about, 43,077 for nurses.
Gotcha,
It says 1,300.
sure.
Last year was 1,311. We only show 305 for this year, but
Yeah, and everything is like 30 days,
yeah,
you know.
probably need to go to 1,500 on that one just to make sure we got enough.
Yep,
And should the courthouse be higher also with natural gas? We got pretty close last year.
I don't have that sheet, where's last year on actual?
It was 12,541 and we,
There it is, 12,541. What line number is that? 470.
for the courthouse is 43,076.
076, and it got to 12 something?
12,541 last year.
So I added 5% to that, which would be 13,860
Okay,
on my line on this sheet here.
all right.
I'll have to get that sheet next year, Carla. A copy of that sheet.
I put it in your box, so I don't know what you did with it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I guess the rest are all in line.
So the gas, the 43,075 and 43,076, I added 5%. The electricity on 43,175, 43,176, 43,177, I added 5%.
Okay,
I got a quick idea.
With that, on the 43,177 electricity for the nurses, if we need to go up because of the addition, probably be a good idea.
just another 1,000.
Yeah, and then the 43,077, the heating down there for the nurses, if we need to go up to, like you said, 15, that'd probably be smarter. At least for a 1-year baseline, then we'll know next
Since
year.
we cut it so close last year,
I mean, if you want to bump it up a little more,
yeah, that part went over. Go to 15 on that one. That's all the small numbers.
Devil's in the details.
Yeah. So when you showed us numbers yesterday, did it include that 350,000? Okay. So we're gonna have to absorb that a little bit. Look at other budgets. But as of right now, it looks like there's a good possibility there's gonna be, 50, 60,000 not used out of that fixed plant repairs, correct? Unless something goes haywire.
yeah, 44,176. Oh, no, Fixed plant.
68,000.
we're not putting in the 350, are we?
I'm not for it. I mean, that sounds like something that maybe we should think about in the future when these turbines we get in a higher percentage of the tax income from them, and the TIFs finally when do they expire, like 27 or 8 or something?
28.
28.
So about the time that we get back to 100% on those two, the one that's in the TIF and the one that's not in the TIF, it's about the time that the TIF is ended. So then some of that revenue will go down, but we don't have the debt either.
I mean, all that stuff is nice, but it's, I mean, to me, it just seems like it's just way too much for, and I mean, it'd be a lot cheaper to pay you a little overtime to babysit this stuff than it would be to do it. I mean, it's, everything's great as long as you want to spend money on it, I guess.
Yeah.
I know why you put it in here, it's really neat.
Well, yeah, it helps out, helps manage the system.
Yeah.
Through lessening human errors and avoiding possibly having to do it all at once when you do the boiler change and the
Well, or could you get your best bid when you do it all at once, have somebody come in and do absolutely everything all at one shot, and then once we've got all this kinda in some of the rest of the debt gone, it'd be a better time to do it.
Would some of this qualify for ARPA if we had money come back into it?
Well, I think if we were putting in some kind of a ventilation system with it, then, the changeover could be different. If we went to like a forced air, where you're recirculating the air to keep even though there's not much evidence out there that any of that really works real good either, so people still seem to have gotten sick. But,
like the system of heating and cooling we have right now is really good. I mean, it's a good way to.
I have boilers. I've got a hot water heat in my house. My house has got radiators.
Yeah.
Some of them are, you can sit on them.
Yeah.
You come in from the outside. I don't do it very often, but I know the females in my family do it quite often.
No, it's a good system to heat, cool, big places like this. Like forced air, I don't know, I guess I'd have to talk to somebody that, do hospitals use forced air and all that?
Yeah, I don't think they have it very often. They usually use,
ERBs to filter the air.
I think the system we have is good. I agree with you. I think if we do it all at once, I think we'd get a better quote doing the whole thing at once than piecemealing everything.
like spreading this out, that's gonna make it more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you wouldn't have the shock all at once in a sense, but in the end, it'll make it more expensive. It's, if somebody can come in and just do a job and bang, 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 and get the heck out of here without having to go back and forth several times, it's always cheaper.
So if we don't include 350, what are we putting in then?
Well, there was 87.5 in it last year.
And we figured that was, now we figured
All
that
five
was doing
was
the
worth it.
courtroom.
Yeah.
And are we gonna put like 30 in there for repairs next year, or?
I think if we did 50, just to have a little bit of a cushion for just in case, and then for the getting some of these wall repairs done in my
So-
office. If you've gone in my office, you've seen how bad I need carpet.
Okay, so then down on the fixed plant repairs, we're not doing the courtroom on that one, that's just fixed plant repairs if we have an emergency.
That is more like boilers and, like that was, I don't know what else, boilers and things that are attached. That's,
Yeah. But what are we using it for? What's the plan with it?
it's for if we have a boiler repair, if we need
Chiller repair.
It could be
elevator-
major.
elevator.
If we have a major failure of something, we've
That's
got
why it was-
something in the budget to take care of it.
I think that's why it was put in there at that level.
It seems like I can remember
Yes.
having this discussion that we should have it in the budget in case we don't have to scramble later when it's figuring out how to pay for it.
Even though we're in that, $6,000 to $9,000 range that we have been budgeting with. As it gets older, I'm guessing there's more expenses involved.
And if you want to take that one down to 52, I think I would be comfortable with that if you are, Kevin.
44,276 to 54.
So it was 60, but
It's
8,000.
50 as well, not,
44, 277 would go down to 50,000.
No, 276,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, 276, the 68,000 goes to 50,
yeah.
And then the 87.5 goes to what?
50 as well.
Okay, 50.
versus,
That's up above.
I saw it once in.
Courthouse
44,176, yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Second line there on that section.
Yeah,
Right
and
here.
I think what, eventually,
You
it
know,
would just be nice
sometimes
to
you can
come up
see
with
every
a
number right there.
comprehensive,
In the
Oh,
white.
there it is, there it is.
you know, just like what,
And that's,
what you
that's
can
going to what,
plan
50,
for.
50.
you know, on upgrading this.
I think I have a plan in my head, what I want the court, maybe you're talking about the
You know,
heaters, but I have a plan in my head of where I wanna go with the courthouse repairs.
well, another thing, when you fix a patch like that, it's gonna be really hard to match, and then you may just well think about painting
Yeah,
the room also, and getting it all done at once. You'll get a better bid for that then too, in a
Yes.
sense, if you got somebody, especially if you got somebody who does it all.
mhm,
Because, you know, I'll have to admit, yellow's not my favorite color.
it's pretty ugly, yeah.
It's just- I
Well,
wouldn't
and there's
pick
a lot of stuff that, I mean, it needs painted.
Yeah,
It-
no,
It
it's-
does,
it's,
it's, the whole thing is getting to be,
Yeah, I think those two numbers revised will be fine. I mean,
And they've done studies that show when you have a pleasant working environment, that it's actually more productive for workers.
It would be nice if there was a true, like again, a comprehensive plan, you know, I mean, you just look at that door and go, okay, they've got ranch casing around that.
No, they don't, that's metal, isn't
The
it?
smell,
Oh, okay, well, it's like,
it's a fire
there's
door.
just, everything is so piecemeal, you know, it would be really nice if there was some type of a standard.
Historic restoration.
Yeah, with some, input, you know, from professionals, and I think that would be good, because we stood outside just yesterday talking about the windows.
You know, we got black windows in the new part. These would look real black, got rid of all the glass block, make them full height, and
Mhm.
boy, that set this place off, but is it in the best interest of the county's money?
Well, you know, at some point maybe.
I don't know what kind of
It's just-
insulation value we have in the glass block. You know, maybe it'll save enough money.
There's some courthouse repairs fatigue out there in the
Oh,
taxpayers'
yes.
world.
mhm,
And I still have had to talk to people and explain why we needed to do it, and how expensive the option of a new courthouse was, and the fact that the new courthouse decision was made when they put the addition on. You know, if we were gonna do a new courthouse, it should have been then, and, before then. But, so, I mean,
well,
I think
and
the
I
other
tell you
side
what,
of
with the courthouse rework project, we got pretty lucky with our bids. Matt,
we had a good man in charge.
Oh, for these current ones?
yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, this building looks a lot neater than that LEC. I like old stuff. So, and I'm not even against someday doing what you're talking about there. I just don't think we should do it.
Well, I think our building has a lot more character than Worth County's.
Yeah.
Theirs is pretty boring.
Yeah,
I
But
think
it's
most
still-
county residents are not in favor of restoring that.
That old building still looks neater than modern stuff usually does.
We better get going, we're.
All right, yeah. Now we know what we're doing. Yeah, thank you.
Brody?
Thanks, Kevin. Somewhere I've lost my schedule, so who's next?
Rhodey's next, 11:30 to 12, and then we get lunch. Only an hour for lunch, though.
Just got my notes on it, what page, what
That's,
section.
I don't,
How come you didn't schedule nap time in there after lunch?
yeah, good stuff. Hi, Brody.
hey,
Maybe next year.
Next year, we'll have nap time scheduled in after lunch? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
You gotta bring your rug.
Yeah. No, I've got some of that. old one.
Your Matt, your
You know,
kindergarten
I
Matt.
use those mats down at my shop to throw underneath stuff, like when I,
Okay, Brody?
Oh, we gotta get on.
Yep.
Yeah, I got Rotary at noon.
Oh,
The numbers of the sections.
which number's here?
The next page. 52.
Enlighten us.
Okay, what's the, just wanna make sure I have the right one open. What's the total on that one?
On your budget,
308, 900, oh, wait a minute, that's not the total.
351.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, down from 406, 363 the year before.
Okay, so salaries, extra help, I removed that. I assume Eric budgeted that for when he was leaving.
He had that assistant that was helping him every now and then too, do something.
Yeah, from the college or something.
Yeah, he had a kid from the college.
Well, whatever, I'm not using that, so I removed it. I tried to bring everything down to more realistic numbers. I felt like I wasn't spending a lot of money in a lot of sections, so
IT services dropped considerable.
So that was mainly because that covered the carpel install for the attorney, the cameras that we're getting, still don't quite have, and the website renewal. So that's why that one's so
So
much
that's mostly
lower.
the attorney stuff?
Yeah, the attorney was like 30,000, the cameras are right around that, and then the website was like 15.
Not a yearly expense, just it was higher that year,
Right.
covered all.
Yep. Software maintenance, just brought it down to be more realistic. Hardware maintenance is gonna go up. We bought, it looks like in 2020, we bought 2 new storage arrays, one for over at Public Health and one for here, and they replicate, and that was like 60 grand. So the support on those is up, so we have to renew, because I'm not gonna have that unsupported. It might be more than what I have budgeted, but I haven't got my quotes back from my sales guy, so I'm not quite sure what that's gonna be. But we'd like to get 2 more years out of it, because we paid 60 grand, it'd be nice to get at least 5 years out of it. Education and training services I brought down to more normal level, and then I don't plan on spending a bunch on equipment. We do need to start refreshing some computers and laptops around, but I'm gonna try to do a little bit each year instead of trying to do it all at once.
Yeah, spread it out.
Yep.
So did we change something on mapping GIS, Carla?
Yeah, that just comes out of software maintenance agreements now.
Okay. It's not a
That's
special
the
one.
beacon
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
All right.
So. Let's see. Nothing else real notable, I guess. The only thing I would say is I just wasn't sure what to budget for the support renewals on the servers and storage. So those will have to be renewed.
And you think you may be low on that?
I could be, but I
How
mean,
much do you think possible low? I mean, you can always add some in here for,
yeah,
if you drop some other stuff down considerable. And if you think you need a little more room, it's better to have it than to not have it.
okay,
Yeah, I don't want to do a budget on it.
Yeah.
okay.
I
That'll
was
work.
Yes,
purely thinking of you, Carl.
thank you, Bill.
So just take all the savings that you,
There's really no way for me to know, unfortunately, because I haven't ever done one for this brand of storage. It looks like it was 17 grand for 3 years initially, but the thing is they always, as stuff gets older, they like to charge you more for support because it's more likely to fail.
Yeah.
So, and it was also with the original purchase, so it just might have been cheaper then. So we can bump it up. That's,
Which line item?
it's the hardware maintenance agreements.
42102,
Up to what?
they bumped up like to 30,000, you think that would cover it, or?
How much different is my budget from last year?
You're down 50,000, so 50.
60.
No.
Well,
55.
60 in your general basic.
I was looking at the total.
Down 55 or
I'd probably put an extra 15 in it just to be sure, but,
40.
So up to 40 on that one.
cause if it's cheaper to renew it for 2 years than 1 year, then I'll probably do the 2-year renewal just to make sure we get it for 5 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise. For salaries, I put in cost of living increase, which was like 8.7. I think, I don't
Doesn't
know.
look like, looks like 11.
His last year's salary is in here incorrect.
Oh, okay.
I did the math from what his actual salary was,
Okay.
and it's,
That's correct. Then.
yeah. Yeah, I looked at it too, and I'm like,
Mhm.
And I think that was because we got more last year than I was expecting to get initially during budget time.
So what's that number supposed to be?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I just know that I did the math and it was right.
Should be 87,000.
Let's see what that comes out.
Do I need to submit anything to you or anything
Yeah.
for the increase on the
That'd be
hardware
about right, 87.
maintenance agreements, or?
Mhm.
You got Rotary on Wednesdays?
It's a executive board meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's the third Wednesday of the month.
Is this how, I thought that was on
Today, Kyle?
Tuesdays, but
What's it?
That's today?
Yeah.
Did you get that email I sent you about that woman who gives the talks on human trafficking? Anyway, I sent it to you, if it's something you think Rotary would be interested in. It was really interesting.
Okay.
All right,
So if that's the only change
I
we
might
have,
have sent that to my phishing because it looks suspicious, so
Oh.
you might wanna send it back to me.
Sure, I'll take a look.
Oops. Cause when I get links with nothing other than a link, I usually don't open it.
one part of her program was probably too long for what you want, but there was another part that was shorter.
Okay.
well, I think that's all we need there.
Okay. I can't think of anything else to talk about, so.
no, it looks pretty straightforward.
Thanks for trying to reduce some of those that you thought
Yeah.
were unnecessary.
Hopefully,
That's what everybody needs to do their line by line.
it's pretty scary, because, I mean, I went through the last 3 years of expenses, and like added it all up, and we've never been over the lines that I adjusted, so
Well,
I
that's,
think it should be safe, but,
yeah, the unknown is scary.
yeah, it is, yeah.
But that's what everybody needs to do, because it's actuals, you know?
Yeah.
Look at those things and see.
It's, well, I mean, I guess that's why we have a fund balance in a sense, is for the scary stuff that might come up, but,
Good to know we have one of those.
yeah.
All right, well, thanks.
All right, yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Rudy.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, are we adjourned till after lunch?
I would guess, we're gonna get out of here early, you were in a panic there for a second. but we
Yeah,
got
I
through that one
was.
Pretty quick.
Lot smaller budget.